Mm.
Okay, it's recording in progress.
Yes.
And then I'll do
Thank
it
you.
like last time. I'll send it to
Hmm.
you. All right.
Yeah.
So what questions can I help you with?
So about the check-in process and the
Mhm.
checkout. For the check-in process, like Leanna let me do some of the check-ins.
Uh-huh.
And she said that usually the kids check them in, but since it was the summer and they were only there 3 times,
Yeah.
that it was faster if we just like checked them in.
Mhm.
Um, and then I did see how she logged in to Destiny and then clicked the bright buttons, like for the summer learning, since it was 14 different elementary schools.
Yeah.
She unchecked the Patreon, like only for
Mhm.
my Patreon box.
Uh-huh.
And we were able to, you know, check the books in that way.
Mhm.
And then also for checkout, she would like line them up. Like, she would, based on the tables of the groups, she would send a little bit at a time to go find some books. Um, And I really like her library. It's very organized. So she would point them to the graphic novel section. They would go explore, or the fantasy section, and realistic fiction and stuff like that. Um, and they would come out to the little table, the checkout table, type in their lunch number, and then sit down. The one that was a little bit more tricky was the pre-K and the first graders.
Yeah.
So I saw that at Share they had like cards or for them to scan it, but we also talked about last time that we like that another librarian teaches the pre-Kers and first
Yeah,
graders.
yeah. And you saw what you saw was really good because you were seeing students who were in this library for the first time. So it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like the beginning of the year for you, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've been in that library, but your systems and everything will be different. So summer learning is different. I mean, you have so many kids coming from all these different campuses and they're used to their librarian's way of doing
Yeah.
things. Then they get here. And so I can see how Leanne is like, it's just faster really to do it. But typically, you would teach them how to check in their own book, put it in the cart, check out their own book.
Mm-hmm.
You can also in Destiny, you can print out student barcodes by homeroom teacher. And
Okay.
so that can be helpful, especially until those pre-K, K first graders get used to you. Because, sometimes you're like, okay, what's your name? you know? And so
Mm-hmm.
having that printed out at least helps. And then a teacher, is usually there to help out or an aide or something. But yeah, it can get tricky with those little ones because they don't know their lunch number. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes they don't want to, they know their name, but they don't want to share it, that when, especially before they really get to know you. Um, some, at some schools, the pre-K at the beginning of the year makes the necklaces with their lunch number on it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a number they use to check out library books. So that's an easy way to say, hey, wear those necklaces when you come to the library until I tell you otherwise, until
Mm-hmm.
you get to know the kids and they get to know you. Um, and if they don't do that, you can make your own, and tell the teacher, here are some necklaces, have them wear these when they come. So there's a lot of ways to work around that. But yeah, you saw a really good example of checkout where kids weren't familiar with the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was good to
Yeah.
see. Because
Oh,
when you
and
see the kids like they know what they're doing. Okay, that's great. But you saw
yeah.
it like, we don't know the system. What do we do? So, yeah.
Yeah. And is there lessons specifically for the check-in and the checkout process?
Yes, I mean, I think we do have some like crafted lessons on that. But yeah, it's certainly like the first few times that the class comes to the library, even longer, throughout the year, even if you need to,
Mm-hmm.
um, teach them how, even starting from when they're line up outside of the library, like when are you going to let them come in? And, mine always like when you were quiet and when you were ready, because if they come in and they're, when they're all like, then it's hard to get control, so you
Mm-hmm.
wait until they're ready, then invite them in. Then what are they going to do? they're going to scan their own book in, and then what do they do after that? They put it on a cart, and then what do they do after that? So just like teaching them that step by step, as a teacher, those
Yeah.
processes and
Uh-huh.
procedures. And if you see them slipping on that, oh, looks like we need to revisit that. And then
Mm-hmm.
after, of course, like winter break, it's like everything's gone out of their brain, and you're like, oh, I have to reteach that again. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
just teaching those systems
Mm-hmm.
over and over. Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. And then we didn't get to like she was going to show me things on Destiny, like how to run the overdue notices by the class, um, like the circulation reports, but we didn't get to do that because the website wasn't working. We were switching
Yes.
domain names.
Well,
Yeah.
this email domain
Mm-hmm.
change that we had,
Mm-hmm.
it was been interesting for us with Destiny, but I think they finally got it all figured out. But I'm checking Sharon. I don't remember if I didn't think I could put you in yet because you hadn't officially been switched over to librarian, but I think you have now in
Mm-hmm.
email. Always check email and see what your
Mm-hmm.
list. Librarian insurance. So let's see. Yeah. You know what? I won't do it now because it'll take up some time, but we'll get you added into Destiny so that you can start I mean, it's your summer. Enjoy your summer, but there'll
Mm-hmm.
be plenty of time for this. But if when you want to, you'll be able to get in and kind of play around and look at the collection and things like that. We'll get you in and make a note to do that, and then I'll send you information like how to log in and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Would you mind like telling me a little bit how to like run the overdue notices so then
So in let's see, let me get into Destiny here.
Mhm.
All right. So in Destiny, when you click on reports, there are a ton of different reports that you can
Mhm.
run. And I'm sure she may have showed you like you have your choice of library reports or which is like the collection and things like that. But you also can run patron reports. And let me see, let me go into school. And then when you click on library reports, you can, under circulation, you
Mhm.
can like current checkouts. And if you click on that, you can see everything that's currently checked out. You want to show everything that's overdue by, you can say 1 day, you can say
Mhm.
1 week, you can pick your days. And then you just run that, and you can run it as a report, like um, in PDF or Excel format just for your use, but you could also run notices. And that
Mhm.
is what goes to students. And so you have your option, like what you want it to look like. And then, and then, so we are very careful when we send notices. Like we're very cautious about sending um, notices that where teachers can see everything the student has checked out. For student privacy and confidentiality reasons, we like if we're going to send them through teachers, we fold them over and like staple
Mhm.
them and then put, I mean, could the teacher, if they wanted to, rip it open? Yes, but it's just a kind of another way to ensure student privacy. And so what they're checking out isn't everyone's business. It's
Mhm.
just those who need to know. But yeah, so when you do those reports, with many of our reports, you have an option like If you just want to print it, you make it into an Excel so you can play with it and, resort or whatever you want to do versus like sending the notices, actually printing the notices. We also have an option you can email the
Mm-hmm.
overdue notices to parent email addresses. Hopefully the
Mm-hmm.
parent email address is correct in Teams, but that's what it connects to, and it'll send that notice. So kind of have different options for what works for you,
Okay.
in your
Yeah.
school. So,
Yeah. And then on there, would you be able to like delete and add fines? Or I do remember from junior high, we weren't too concerned about the fine part as much as getting the book back.
yeah, you can. When you click on the student's name in Destiny and it shows
Mm-hmm.
something that's overdue, you have different options. And so some librarians just like, I tell librarians, we're not in the business to make money off of
Mm-hmm.
kids, and so we try to get the book back. We're good stewards of the funds that we're provided, but we also know like we're not going to show up at a student's door like we need that book,
Mm-hmm.
So we give them a chance, but also we know when it's time to clear that off and let the students start fresh, So you can go in and you can waive the fine. So it's like, um, say the book costs $20. The $20, say you mark that book lost in Destiny, that $20 pops up there. You have every freedom as a librarian to say, you can either kind of charge the fine, but then make it zero, so it stays on that student's record. Like, okay, so we have that history that the student has lost a book. Some
Mm-hmm.
librarians don't care and just like zero it out, and it takes that fine away. So we're definitely, it's kind of a rare thing when students bring money for books. We don't
Mm-hmm.
discourage it, but then, um, we don't hound them, for like
Yeah.
bring the money. So yeah, but there is a way to go in and Destiny automatically assigns the fine when you
Mm-hmm.
mark it as lost, but then you have control about what happens after that and whether you're gonna just wipe that $20 off and let that student start fresh, which goes a long way
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with, and you don't want to be that. We have had librarians in the past like, you will pay, and hounding the parents, and finally the parent is like, okay, my child will not come to the library anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
which was a very sad result of that, so it's kind of a balance of, hey, try to bring that book back, hey, have you found it, like doing the reminders, but then also
Mm-hmm.
knowing, and a lot of time, that's a lot of things are outside of our students
Control.
control. And so
Mm-hmm.
like, I when I was at Remenzi, like we had parents who would, my mom got mad and cleaned my room and threw all my library books away. Oh, you know, hey, so what can we do next time to make sure, that's a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
what can we do
Mm-hmm.
next time to make sure that doesn't happen again? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, librarians have a lot of control over what you do with the fines, after you
Mm-hmm.
assign it in destinies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and on there you can run a circulation report, right?
Uh-huh.
On Destiny. And what would we use like those numbers for?
Like to see just like circulation numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to use that, well, there's two ways that kind of come to mind. We suggest that librarians use like know where you are in relation to last year, like your circulation numbers, like was my circulation higher or lower this year than last year? Was it higher, even certain months, fall is like typically is a pattern we see is fall circulations are up, spring when testing comes around, falls down. Now I don't know with all of our new testing going on, I don't know, what's going to happen with that, but
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of see patterns, and so you'll learn the pattern of your school, and you'll learn like, oh, my circulations dipped a little bit this year, I wonder what changed. Oh, well, it was because the schedule changed because, the principal changed the schedule or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It wasn't within my control. So that's one way to use circulation. Just kind of to think about your programming and your schedule and how you're getting kids into the library, just general use. But also, it's just advocacy. We had some librarians who they cover PLC,
Mm-hmm.
they're on that PLC schedule. And so they found their circulation went down because kids weren't coming to the library as often. So they were able to go to their principal and say, look how much our circulation declined this year
Mm-hmm.
over last year. And the only thing that changed was I was in the PLC schedule. And so there were a couple of principals like, what? Like that wasn't something they had thought of. And so it's just like an advocacy piece. And then on my end, I use that circulation data again for like bigger advocacy. Circulation it's a very basic stat. It's a very basic data point. Um, and it's not the end all be all. We know that we can't say, oh, because I had 500 checkouts, kids read 500 books. We wish we could say that, but we know that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always equal each other. But it is kind of I say it's a basic data point of like a healthy library. Are students coming in the library and are students checking out? Now, in elementary, it's a lot easier because the schedules, kids are in and out all the time. Secondary is something that, the kids, they're not automatically coming. So, how are secondary librarians getting kids in the library? Are you taking advantage? Hey, this class is here. So you're going to check out while you're here, and so just
Mm-hmm.
kind of taking advantage of those moments. So that's kind of a few ways that we use circulation data.
Okay. And then for cataloging, like we don't catalog those, right? Those come already.
Yes, here in Arlington, now different districts do it different ways, but
Mhm.
Library Services catalogs everything for you. And so they arrive to you shelf ready. The only thing that you would have to do, like if you're genrefied, you want to put a genre sticker on, then that's up to you. But we do all the processing for you. So in some districts, librarians have to do that all themselves. And we're lucky that we still have a, library services department who can do that for you because that takes a lot of time. And
Mhm.
so we also, um, we do that cataloging part. We have Deborah in our department that you'll meet in August, and she's our cataloger. We have Jay, so they do all that for you. So you don't have to worry about it. So very nice.
Mhm. Yes, and then a collection analysis report.
Uh-huh.
What that would be something we do more in the beginning and the end, correct? Like of the year.
Yes, in fact, I just ran collection analysis reports for every school, but we wait until we've gotten all your orders for the year, the book
Okay.
orders. So we
Uh-huh.
know like you get all your new books in, and then we start running those reports just to update you. Um,
Mhm.
we use Tidal Wave, which is connected to
Mhm.
Destiny, and I think you have a Tidal. Do you have a Tidal Wave account? You can
Yes.
even call them and tell them to connect you to Shared, and you'll
Okay.
be able to go in and look at. Or you know what? You may be able to do that in your account online. I don't know.
Hmm.
We're going to see. You may just be able to search Arlington ISD and then pull up the schools. And if you can do that, just click on Shared, and it's going
Yeah.
to pop you into Shared Library. And
Mhm.
if you have trouble, you can always call the customer service number. But that's the easiest way because it's just a direct connection to Destiny. And it
Mhm.
tells you, like, looks at diversity in your collection. It looks at age. It looks at a lot of different things. So you can kind of get as deep into it as you want. It'll even tell you, like, this section is old. You click on it. Oh, it's these 5 books in this section.
Uh-huh.
So it gets really granular, which is nice as a
Mhm.
librarian. But yeah, um,
Yeah.
that's really good information to have.
Mhm. And then the last one is like placing holds or book reserves, and that
Uh-huh.
would be more towards like the student side, but how would they do that?
So they can, when they go in Destiny and search a book,
Mm-hmm.
when that book comes up, there is a way of like place a hold. And so they place a hold. Now, some librarians don't want to mess with holds. I'll be honest, because they
Mm-hmm.
and because it can get it's a lot. It can be a lot to manage because you have, especially like a dog man or something, where
Mm-hmm.
60 kids want it, and it's then when a book is checked in, it pop up comes up and it says this item, is being held for. And so you put it aside and then you have to wait for that. So it can be a lot to manage. So some librarians don't do holds. You can turn holds
Mm-hmm.
off. Like, I'm not going to do it. Or you can do holds, and offer that. So, but it's all done in Destiny. If it's on, the patron can go in, click, I want to hold this book. Then when it's checked in next time, then it flags you or whoever's checking in, and then you could put it aside and then get it to that
Mm-hmm.
student. So
Yeah, yeah, because I had seen somebody like on Instagram do a book dash. Like it's like DoorDash, but with a book, and they would
yeah,
have the hold and then they would deliver it to the class.
yeah.
Thought that was cool. I don't
That
I don't
is
know if I'll
it's
do it.
that is really cute. I tell you, it can be hard to manage, but
Mm-hmm.
it depends. Like if you had student aides who could spend a little bit of time, that could be some of their jobs, so just kind of depends on if you don't have student aides, um, if you have volunteers, if you have, you would have to think about how
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you're like me, like you think of all these ideas, you think, yeah, that's so cool, I want to do that. And then it's like I would get it like in the middle and be like, huh, it's a lot, that's a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, it is a cool thing, and it's a for students to know that it makes it special. So they
Mm-hmm.
wanted this book, it comes back, and here you go, and even if like you could put it in the teacher's box with a note of, for the
Mm-hmm.
student, or, make it a bigger deal, if the teacher didn't mind you interrupting class, like delivery for, so
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of, there's different levels of how you could do it, but that's a cute
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's it.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So go into Tidal Wave when you have time and like
Mm-hmm.
see if you can share it. And
Mm-hmm.
if, like I said, if not, call them and tell them you're the new librarian there. And that way you can see. And then if you want to, just kind of play around with it. But then if you want to uh, call, and I can kind of walk you through some things as we look through the data. Like I said, enjoy your summer. You don't have to work all summer. So don't.
Mm-hmm.
August comes around awfully fast. So
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and then we have the meetings. I think on the July, right? The last week of
yes, new
July. Mm-hmm.
librarians will be that last week in July, and the first day there's a district orientation, which you'll probably know much about of what they're talking about. The second part of the day, the afternoon, is a campus orientation, which will be, just giving you kind of a lay of the school and who everybody is and like dress code, all those things that come with being on a new campus. And then that Wednesday and Thursday, you'll be here with me at my office. And then on Friday, you're going to be in your library working, but Alicia, the instructional specialist, or
Mm-hmm.
myself, we're going to meet you at your campus and just answer any questions you have and to kind of talk you through things. So that's the plan.
Okay.
Lots of
I'm
lots
excited.
of support. You'll get tons of support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
All right. I will.